I believe there is no country in the world, including any and all the countries under colonial domination, where economic colonization, humiliation, and exploitation were worse than in Cuba, in part owing to my country's policy during the Batista regime. I approved the proclamation which Fidel Castro made in the Sierra Maestra, when he justifiably called for justice and especially yearned to right Cuba of corruption. I will even go further. To some extent, it is as though Batista was the incarnation of a number of sins on the part of the United States. Now we shall have to pay for those sins. In the model of the Batista regime, and in agreement with the first Cuban revolutionaries. That is perfectly clear. Do you have any idea who said that? Who? No President Carter. No President Carter. But close, depending on how many years, no? But was in October 24, 1963, was an interview with the New Republic, was published in December 14, 1963, and was President Kennedy.
Oh, okay.
Probably you don't read that in the media every day. But this is very important, you know. This was the man who approved Bay of Pigs. This was the man who dealt with the Cuban Missile Crisis. And in 1963, so 2 years after Bay of Pigs, 1 year after the Cuban Missile Crisis, he was working to improve the relation between Cuba and the United States. Unfortunately, he was killed almost 1 month after this moment. But he was trying to improve the relation because he understood, I believe, more about the real situation in Cuba. Because everybody told to him, okay, the Bay of Pigs is going to be very easy. We are going in, we are going to have the support of all the people, we are going to win. That don't happen. You know the history. And I want to believe that since to that experience, we avoid a nuclear war when the Cuban Missile Crisis, because he had the experience of the Bay of Pigs invasion, and for that reason he made this statement. And it's very important to understand why we made the revolution. When he spoke about corruption, I always say, and this is kind of joke, but this is a real issue. If you want to know what was Cuba before the revolution, you need to see The Godfather second part. Have you seen that movie? Wonderful movie.
Yeah.
And this is the real situation. The mafia goes to Havana to create a new Las Vegas, and everything was corruption, gambles, all the things that you know. And we changed all that with the revolution. For that reason, we need to do that revolution. So, unfortunately, since the early 60s, the U.S. policy toward Cuba has consisted largely of isolating the island nation through comprehensive economic sanctions, including an embargo on trade and financial transactions. All that you know is in January 3, 1961, President Eisenhower cut the diplomatic relations. We have Bay of Pigs, we have the Cuban Missile Crisis. And the real issue is that President Kennedy took full responsibility for Bay of Pigs. And this is, I love Twitter, you know. Twitter is very interesting because it's a challenge. You have to put all your ideas in 140 characters.
Yeah.
Sometimes you say, I want to say more. Yes, sir. I only have 2 more characters to put there. So, I cannot say yes, you know, because I need 1 more. But this is a tweet from your current ambassador in Japan, Caroline Kennedy, the daughter of President Kennedy. And she said, I believe 1.5 years ago, 52 years after Cuban Missile Crisis, President Kennedy will be proud of what President of the United States has reached out with Cuba. And I believe that that's very important, you know? So, but what is Cuba? What is Cuba? All this is from the World Bank. You can check all this in the, if you don't believe me, you can go to the website of the World Bank and you can check that. But most important, if you don't believe me, go to Cuba. Go there, go and see the real Cuba. But this is Cuba. We are 11 million of people. We are smaller than Pennsylvania. Our GDP is $77 billion, and our per capita income is more than $6,000. And this is a real deal, you know. Our life expectancy is 79 years old. Our birth attended by skilled health staff is 100%. our mortality rate infant is 4 children per 1,000 live birth.
Yeah.
Thank you. 99% of our children receive all the vaccines for free. The 1% that don't receive the vaccines because religious motive, people that don't want because they're religion. 100% of our people knows how to read and write.
Yes.
And thank you. And this is, this is not only that they know how to read and write. They go all the way through the university because it's for free. It's the same for our healthcare. It's right. It's the right that people have to have free education and healthcare for free. 95% of our population have access to improved water sources. 93% have access to improved sanitation facilities. We spend 12.8% of our GDP on education. According to the World Bank in 2010, that was the highest investment in education worldwide. We spend 8% of our GDP on health. We spend only the 4% of our GDP in the military. And this last sentence is our conclusion. It's not from the World Bank. It's the only one that's not from the World Bank. But it's our conclusion. To health and education was allocated 53% of total expenditure of 2014 budget activity. So you can see very clear what are our priorities. Probably we sometimes don't have money to do many other things, but almost all the money goes to education and healthcare. Those are